Now admit it, you were getting a little bit nervous after the first half of that game, weren't you? But ultimately Liverpool come out with a 1-0 win over their Merseyside rivals Everton, and to be honest I can't really blame anyone for getting nervous, because the circumstances around this game were a little bit tough on Liverpool, weren't they? I mean, prior to the international break you had those back-to-back defeats, and they were damaging defeats as well, going out of the Champions League to PSG, and then of course nobody wants to lose a cup final at Wembley, which is exactly what happened against Newcastle. And then of course you throw in the fact that then Arsenal win their game to maybe get a bit of momentum. You've got Saka back, the gap goes to 9 points. I know that's massive, but I did see a few nerves setting in on social media. And then you consider that Liverpool are coming in to a Merseyside derby where we know how poorly they played in the Goodison game. They had the game snatched away from them still at the death in that one, and then started this first 45 minutes here and weren't playing particularly well, and it just wouldn't have been a shock if Everton had nicked it on the basis of that 45 minutes. But I think it is too easy that even in those moments of minor setbacks and difficult moments in a season, that we too easily forget, some of us, just how good this side is and just how good the mentality of this squad is as well, because they've shown it time and time again, not just this season but over multiple seasons, many of them, that they can dig it out when the going gets a little bit tough, and that they can win the gritty games if they need to, and they absolutely showed that, I think, here, to pick up a massive win for them, and obviously a win that puts them 12 points clear at the top of the Premier League. And you could see the importance, really, I think, in the Anfield crowd. The reaction to the goal was absolutely huge. It's as loud as it gets in here, really. And then the full-time whistle, similarly, the fans really loud after that. But also the players, the way that they reacted to the full-time whistle, big celebrations amongst themselves, giving big celebrations to the fans as well. So you could see it meant an awful lot to them, because clearly it was a game that was a tough one. It was one that they knew they'd had to grind out and found it really difficult. But also, of course, you throw in that context of the league title, and that makes it even bigger for these fans, for the players, and of course also the fans. And I think now that they're in this position now, 8 games to go, 12 points lead at the top, and they've shown themselves capable of winning games like this where it's windy, it's against your local rivals. I must mention the wind quickly, actually, because I do think it played havoc at times with those long balls, made it difficult for Liverpool. May even be causing havoc with my microphone, hopefully not, but definitely had an effect on the game, where you could see defenders losing the ball when it went up in the air because it was moving so much. I think that made it extra difficult for Liverpool. As I say, coming off back-to-back defeats as well, losing a bit of rhythm maybe of playing together in the international break, and then Everton coming with a game plan that worked so well for them at Goodison Park. So all those things combined just turned it into a massive game. But Liverpool did it. They got themselves over the line, which is what all great teams do. And I think we should all, in those difficult moments, maybe have a little bit more faith in them, that this is an excellent football team with an excellent mentality. And again, a big step tonight, big win, and a big step towards winning the Premier League title. And there's no sweeter version of victory really than over your local rivals, particularly if it's one where you've had to work really hard to get it. Now, I think there's a few talking points from this game that I want to kind of go into, and I think the first of those really is to start with the manager, Arne Slot. I mean, we've known all season that he's very good in half times, but of course he maybe wasn't able to tweak it in the PSG away game, maybe he wasn't able to tweak it in the Newcastle Wembley game. So you started to wonder, is magic rubbing off a little bit? Is he not quite able to find the solutions? Are other managers managing to work him out? So after a bit of a disappointing first half performance here, a few of those questions were kind of coming up, and I think just to show how the first half performance kind of went for Liverpool, I mean, 0.95 expected goals for Liverpool, which is not too bad at all, but Everton get 0.64. Liverpool take 8 shots, Everton take 4 shots, and of course Everton don't get the one counted as a shot where Beto puts it through Kelleher's legs, and it's a marginal offside, says Liverpool. They don't get a shot on target, of course, for the one that hits the post with Beto as well. So they were getting opportunities, good opportunities, and Liverpool were looking a bit kind of all over the place at times. So it did need a bit of that Arne Slot magic at half time to kind of turn and change the flow of the game, but thankfully he got that. And I thought, again, just a really good half-time team talk from the manager. He's absolutely smashed it there, because Liverpool were vastly improved in that second half. And I think the key thing that he changed really is they were just much smarter with the ball. they were, at times, they were too busy, I think, in the first half, is getting involved in going long and getting themselves involved in 50-50s, which is exactly what Everton wanted this game to be. They wanted it to be duels all over the pitch, because they are, they're not as good a football team as Liverpool, but they're bigger and they're stronger. And if you get into a contest with them, they'll 9 times out of 10 will come out with the ball. So Liverpool were falling into that trap too easily at times. So what they did second half, start moving the ball quicker, creating little triangles. You could see it immediately. They were just trying little flicks and moving the ball around the corner, moving it so quickly that Everton couldn't get there to challenge, couldn't use the strength and the physicality, and Liverpool were just showing a little bit of extra quality, and it made such a difference really, because it made Liverpool more attacking, more threatening in an attacking sense, I felt, and they looked, they deserved the goal by the time it came, because they were playing better football, but also just denied Everton that chance to get the ball into the areas they wanted it as well, to play those long diagonals, to win second balls, to turn it into a contest quite similar to what we saw at Goodison. They just weren't able to do that, and I think that was about really what the manager had told them to do in possession. And then talking about, it made Liverpool better in defence. Everton only managed one shot in the entirety of the second half, which comes in the 52nd minute, and it's from Jack Harrison. It's about 25 to 30 yards out. That is an amazing defensive performance in Liverpool, and especially considering that Everton were finding chances in that first half. The way in which Liverpool prevented them doing that in the second half, huge credit to the players, but also huge credit to the manager for changing things as well. And Liverpool were able to create chances of their own. They got 9 shots themselves, 0.44 XG, which is on the low side from 9 shots, but it does show you again, they were. I think a lot of that was affected by the fact that Liverpool scored fairly early in the second half, and then are kind of happy to see the game out at 1-0, which can be risky at times, but they certainly deserved it in the end. So I thought a really, really good second half performance, and that again owes a lot to the manager being so good at changing things at half time. I also want to praise an individual as well, not just the manager, but I want to go into one of the players, and that is, of course, Diogo Jota. It's been a bit of a hard road, hasn't it, since he sustained that rib injury against Chelsea in October. He just hasn't quite looked himself since that, and he's had a lot of criticism for his form, and I also saw kind of quite a few big reactions to him being involved in the team again, because his form has been so poor. He didn't play well against PSG, didn't play well against Newcastle either, so a bit of shock and surprise really that he's managed to keep hold of his place. But I think he shows why, doesn't he, in this game in the end. I mean, that goal, if you were to say what a Diogo Jota goal looks like, that little dribble, little bit scruffy dribbling, and then he puts the ball, he sends the keeper the wrong way and puts the ball on the inside there. That is him all over. He scored that goal so many times, and also I thought his general performance was much better than we've seen for him for a long time. I mean, a 65% passing accuracy. He's always going to be scruffy and build up. I don't think you're ever going to polish that side of his game, but he gets 5 shots away, he wins 2 out of 3 tackles, 4 out of 7 ground duels. Jurgen Klopp called him a pressing monster a while ago, and he's absolutely right, and he looked much better in that regard, as well as getting all the shots off and being dangerous as well. So it's great to see that, because I think it's been a difficult period for Liverpool's attack, but if you can get Jota close to his best, or just getting a bit of form in this last bit of the season, that will make things far, far easier. And I think you can see why the manager's persisted with him, because I think when he is on form and he's playing well, he gets shots and he gets goals, and he gets the goal that wins the game today. So hopefully that can be the start of a good run of form, because it's been a difficult season with that injury. He's not been quite right since then, so great to see him back on the score sheet and playing well again, which had certainly thought he did today. I also want to praise the guy who was playing at right back in the absence of Trent Alexander-Arnold and Conor Bradley, and that is of course Curtis Jones. I think it's not his position, is it, at the end of the day? He's tried there a couple of times, but I think it was a brave and the right decision from the manager to go with him there. As good as Jarell Quansah is as a young defender, I think Liverpool lose too much in build-up, and I think it would have been a real weakness that Everton would have tried to exploit had Quansah been there. I think having someone who's a little bit more comfortable in possession, or a lot more comfortable in possession, in Jones really helped them. I mean, he was the most accurate passer of anyone who played more than 45 minutes today, with 93%, so basically never giving the ball away despite being under pressure constantly. Allowed Liverpool to play out from the back. He wins 3 out of 5 duels, 6 recoveries as well, didn't shirk his defensive duties once, so did a decent job. I mean, he's not exactly Trent Alexander-Arnold or Conor Bradley in that position. He's definitely a midfielder, but his team needed him to do a job, and he got stuck in today to do that, worked his socks off. showed great composure in possession as well, and a great response really to obviously the frustration he had, didn't he, in the last derby of getting sent off in the last moments, the frustration of conceding that late equaliser. He put all that behind him today with a really strong performance, and obviously he's a Scouse lad, will mean a lot to him to get this win over Everton tonight. There's a couple more I want to praise as well, because I just thought it was a really good and gritty performance from Liverpool. Alexis McAllister in the centre of that midfield, he wins 3 out of 3 tackles, 5 out of 6 ground duels, none out of 4 aerial duels, albeit that's not his fault, he just can't be taller. Everton is they are a tall team as well, so but he battles, doesn't he? He's constantly there to get in the challenges, and I must say he absolutely should have we should have seen a red card for James Tarkowski for that challenge on McAllister. Again, that's just McAllister in a nutshell. He's going in there, always putting his body on the line, and I thought Tarkowski so fortunate not to get a red for that one. That would have changed the game completely and made it easier for Liverpool, to be honest, but somehow gets away with it, because that was completely reckless. And I know he's clearing the ball, but he goes too high up there and he's trying to clear the player out. He's maybe not trying to hit him in the way he does, but it's reckless and he's not in control of himself, and I think that should have been a red card. But again, the fact it's McAllister on the end of it, I think typifies him, because he's always involved in challenges, and he certainly was, and he won an awful lot of them tonight. And I also want to quickly mention Ryan Gravenberch. Been a lot of discussion over his form and the fatigue he's maybe shown recently. He's one of the few players I actually buy into the narrative around fatigue, because this is the longest and hardest season he's had of his life so far, but he's had a couple of weeks off there with the international break, not being on international duty because of a slight knock, and I think he did him the world of good. I think particularly second half he looks much better today. He wins 6 out of his 11 duels overall, which is really good, because those numbers have been trending downwards, and it's particularly good when you're in a game against Everton, which is a team of monsters in midfield who can make it hard for you to win duels. So great to see that, and I hope that rest has done him good, and we can see the best of him between now and the end of the season, because he's been a key player for Liverpool, hasn't he? And he can be a key player in these next few games to hopefully get the league wrapped up as quickly as possible. So I'm going to wrap it up there as well, and just say that, not a vintage Liverpool performance by any means, but after the week they'd had prior to the international break, the fact it was a Merseyside derby, the fact that Everton were going to come here and make it physical and difficult, and the wind playing its part, Liverpool just had to win today, didn't they, by any means necessary. And I think they got a win that was a fully deserved one in the end. But it's 3 points on board, it moves them 12 points clear at the top of the Premier League. It also earns them those local bragging rights, which are always important, and I think it means that every Liverpool supporter who was in this stadium, who's watching on TV, who's watching this video now, is going to absolutely bounce into work tomorrow morning with their team having won a Merseyside derby and also in such a commanding lead in the Premier League, and surely that Premier League title is on the way. So that is what it's all about, isn't it? Now do let me know in the comments what you thought of the game. Who were your standout performers? How do you think Liverpool did? I always love to hear from you. Of course, if you can like the video, massively appreciate that, and subscribe if you don't want to miss any of these match reports from Anfield, my updates after press conferences. I get to be at all these things, so don't miss any of that content. Do hit that subscribe button, and I will leave you there because the lawnmowers are out like they always are, and they're trying to interfere. Thankfully I got through the video without them coming out, but here they are, so I better go, and I'll see you guys very soon.